You're looking at the kind of car that will never be made anymore until the end of time. This is a 2010 E63 AMG 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 monster of a machine with over 500 horsepower, 469 pound-feet of torque. These engines were hand-built by master craftsmen in Germany, and after 13 years, this car is as good as it was when it was brand new. This is an amazing example of one that's owned by my friend, and he bought it back in 2014. With 84,000 miles on the clock, 13 years later, this is still running just as strong. In this video, I'll review this 2010 E63 AMG, what it's like to drive, what the car's all about. Oh, and this car's for sale as well. This is one of my favorite AMGs of all time because of what it represents and the power plant that's under the hood. And these engines are bulletproof because of all of the care that's been put in and the fact that somebody built it themselves. 84,000 miles is nothing. This can keep running for so much longer. With most cars, it's easy to see how to pop the hood open. On this one, it's hidden underneath with this red latch. Under the hood, you see this 6.2-liter V8 built by Metten Yildiz back in 2010. Even though this is a 6.2-liter V8 pumping out 500 plus horsepower, 469 pound-feet of torque, the badge on the side is confusing because it says 6.3-liter. It's not a 6.3, it's a 6.2. But the badge is paying homage to the Mercedes 300 SEL back in the 60s when it debuted with a 6.3-liter V8, so it's kind of been carried down across generations. So that's why we have this here. Besides this insanely powerful engine, there's a lot of reasons I really like this car, and a lot has to do with the technology that it came with. 13 years ago, it has so many features that were groundbreaking at the time. Today, you see it in every other car. This is one of the original Mercedes to be replete with a number of technological features. Everything on the inside is still very well put together. There's no loose parts, there's no rattling. Very, very solidly built, and I'm very impressed considering this is a 2010 model year. Just like with most Mercedes luxury sports sedan, this has got a lot of features, which is actually a huge number of features if you think about the age of this car. This has got everything from a Harman Kardon audio system with all the different options, xenon headlights that move with the steering wheel as you go around corners, glass front and back seats, sunroof, cooled and heated seats, massaging seats, adjustable drive mode. And the most impressive aspect of this 13-year-old car is how cold the air conditioning blows. Even in this really hot Texas summer, inside the car, it's like an icebox. The center area with the gear shift lever has a few different buttons. So you have your drive mode selection button here with Sport, Sport Plus, Manual. You can turn on and off traction control, which I would not recommend. An AMG button to customize the different settings you have. One odd thing about the gear shift lever is you go reverse, neutral, and drive like normal. Then you have a button for park, as opposed to just pushing this up into park. So not sure why they did that. Of all the tech features in this car, the massaging seats, how can you not just love them? Time for me to take a break and relax. This one has heated seats, cool seats, a rear sunshade. I like the design of the gauge cluster on the dash. You've got your speedometer, your tachometer, and then a clock that's embedded in here. Makes it look really unique and symmetrical. This has to be the only car that came with actual driving assistant features back in 2010. Now, of course, everybody has it, but back then, this might have just been the only one. In terms of technology, this car has it all. There's really nothing that's missing from this. Underneath the seat, there's an area for storage. So if you pull on this thing right here, little compartment opens up. Same thing on the passenger side, and there's another net for additional storage. What I love about Mercedes are their seats. 13-year-old leather seats, still in such good shape. They're very comfortable, very supportive. And your passengers are going to be happy back here because they need the support, especially the headrest, to prevent them from getting whiplash. Because you know, as a driver sitting in the driver's seat, all you're going to want to do is take advantage of that 469 pound-feet of torque. So that just means hitting it at every single stoplight, and your passenger is really getting pushed back into the seat and holding on tight for dear life. This E63 has got aftermarket Boston wheels, as you can tell, 20-inch wheels with really wide rubber in the back, and also a modified exhaust that sounds really good at startup. Here's what it sounds like. With this exhaust, it can really roar when you get on it, but normal driving, it's actually still subdued, and inside the car is just a nice rumble, nothing too loud or obnoxious. Being that it's Mercedes, you have a completely unnecessary button to close the trunk lid, but hey, I'll take it. The reason why anybody would drive an AMG or get one is the immense amount of torque and power. And the E63 does not disappoint. You have a V8 that's 6.2 liter, over 500 horsepower, 469 pound-feet of torque. And so what it feels like is a monster that you're riding that's waiting to be unleashed. So even though you could drive this normally, you don't really want to. All you want to do is mash the pedal to the floor and just enjoy that huge amount of torque. One of the great things about driving a car with the V8 is you get the noise in the car, which you don't get these days with anything else. Like, this has a constant rumble that you can enjoy and listen to, and all of that adds to the experience that AMG provides. And this is the last of its kind. And if you've seen my channel, you've seen other videos where I've driven American muscle cars, American V8s. This is a German hand-built V8 wrapped inside German engineering. So it's got something special that other cars can't replicate anymore. And the beauty about AMGs is not only do you get the power, but you also get the comfort when you need it. But what I like about these AMGs, it's that it's a controlled delivery of power. It's not going to get you into an accident that easily because there's enough stability on the car. And even if you don't normally drive a car with this much power and this much torque, you can still manage the amount of power that this generates. The most unbelievable aspect of this thing is that you could actually be driving this for right around $20,000, which, if you think about how much car you're getting for that money, you could drive this, a 6.2 liter V8 beast of an AMG, or you could drive a Honda Civic and actually pay even more money for it, because new Honda Civics, you can't even get those for $20,000 anymore. The feature this car has that I really love is the automatic seat bolstering. So as you go around these turns, you feel the bolsters getting automatically adjusted. It's one of those Mercedes things. They come with so much technology, and it's just fun to experience it, even if most of these things you don't really have a need for. This car has a slight modification to the exhaust, which just means it's much more louder, and you can really hear it from inside the car. These paddle shifters feel really solid. It's a 7-speed transmission. It's not a dual clutch transmission, but the shifts are still really quick, which is pretty crazy to think that this actually was developed 13 years ago and is still just as good as it was on day one. You might be wondering what it's been like to own this machine for all these years. No surprise that all of that torque and power really does eat through the tires. So once every 8,000 miles, you do have to get new rubber on these big wheels. Besides that, it's been surprisingly reliable, not a lot in terms of maintenance and costs. Tires and brakes, wearable items are going to cost you money, so make sure you have a budget for that. Other than that, the engine is very reliable, and other parts of the car, everything's functioning really well. I think this car has still a lot of life left in it. And the best part of all is you can get this for right around $20,000. Now think about it. Would you rather an E63 AMG for $20,000 or a new Honda Civic for $25,000? I think when it comes to this amount of money, this is a deal that's very hard to beat. This is an incredible amount of car for what you're going to pay for it.